Hello, my Squidwards and Squeakers out there, all the people who worship the clarinet. This is going to be a video tips for clarinet players. It's going to be for all levels. Hopefully it's going to be something that you don't know. So, hello everyone, I'm Cicero. I'm going to be your host for this video. And I am the manager for Jazz Collective at my university. And I've been playing clarinet since I was in year 5, for some context, if you care. Probably don't. And over those years, I have learned a few things about the clarinet, as you'd expect. And I wanted to pass on that knowledge for any people out there who may not know, because I've played in quite a few different environments. I've played in a few orchestras. I've played in nothing too crazy. Don't worry, I'm not that good, but I've played in a few like school stuff. No competitions. I'm not a competitive player, but just a lot of showcases and individual groups. So, but my main one is jazz. Jazz is my love. That's why I'm the manager of it at the moment. So I don't know how many tips I'm going to say because it depends on how this video goes, but it's going to be approximately 10. Hopefully the video title says 10 as well. So my first tip, know your instrument. Very obvious one it might sound like, but knowing simple things like knowing it is a woodwind, meaning it has a reed. You blow air into it, that's how the sound is made. Knowing that the way we change pitches is by you're effectively lengthening and shortening the tube. That is all you're doing. You're blowing air into a tube, and as you move your fingers about, you change all the keys, that's what you're doing. So that's why the pitch changes. That's very helpful to know, so you can also diagnose problems. But other things about knowing the clarinet's B flat. This instrument is a B flat instrument, so it means it's transposing. And for those who don't know what that means, it means a C on the piano is not the same as a C on a clarinet. So if I say C, you think do do do, and if you play what we call a C on the clarinet, it's not going to be the same. So if we ever told play concert C, it's actually a D for us. So that is a very interesting fact that I didn't learn until I actually joined an orchestra, and the embarrassment I had was so amusing. I mean, I looked like a complete fool, but I learned very quickly how to transpose things like that. So another way of knowing an instrument is knowing all the little quirks about it. So knowing which notes are a bit sticky, which ones you have to press down more, which notes you have to put more air into, how does your embouchure change between the notes, because your muscle memory. So if I go to play a low G, that embouchure, and then I try and press the register key to then go up to what would be a D, it probably won't sound good because my embouchure is for the G. Can you hear it? It won't come out because I haven't changed my embouchure. I've memorized what it feels like though, so I can go from the G to a high D. Like that, because you eventually you do remember it even when you're playing instinctively. It's actually really amusing. So next tip, mindset. So changing your mindset about playing, about practicing, about how you feel about your instrument, because I am one of those people where I'm always thinking, well, this could be better, you could have a better instrument, you could be playing better in a better group with this and this and this, you need all these things. And it's really unhealthy to always be thinking about that, because there's always going to be a better clarinet, there's always going to be a better player, there's always going to be something that you feel like, if only I had that, I would be the best player I could be. That is not always true. Yes, it helps when you have those super nice clarinets and when you have all the fancy gadgets, and you know what I mean. So changing that and going, okay, I don't have a super fancy clarinet, hopefully you do yourself, but for me this is a Buffet B12. It is the student model. It's like the not begin I think it's beginners, I don't know, it's a very low end model, and I'm putting low end in quotation marks because it's not cheap either. So the thing to remember, this still plays. So yes, some people might have a beautiful £2,000 instrument and it could be gorgeous and it sounds amazing, but is the difference going to be that significant for it? Because I can be complaining and saying, oh yeah, compared to that £2,000 instrument, this is useless. This is a bit of firewood. It's not even real wood. It's plastic. It's not worth anything. But it is, because I can still play every note on it, almost every note. The top few are actually really hard for me. And I feel like the difference between cheaper instruments and more expensive ones is insignificant enough that people don't need to worry about it as much as I think they do. People always want better things out there. So accepting, this is the instrument I have, this is what I have to play, and working with the stuff you have instead of just completely fixating on what you don't have all the time. And I'm definitely not one of those positive mindset people. You're not allowed to say you can't do something. You have to say, oh, I can't do it yet. That frustrated me. In school we had to say that. We weren't allowed to say I can't do something. You always had to say I can't do it yet. It always had to be yet on negatives. But if we also think better about our playing and go, okay, I don't know this yet, but I'm going to keep trying and I'm going to find out how to do this better. That's a better way of thinking, instead of just going, I can't play it, I'm not going to even bother. I'm going to give up on that piece, and I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to join that group. I'm not good enough for it. Because you may be right. You may not be up to the standard for that group. But what can you do? You can either complain, not practice, not ask for help, and not get into the group. Or you can find out how to be a better player and keep practicing and keep going for it. And eventually you'll get there. You may not get into that exact group. You might get something similar. You might get something better. A lot of opportunities out there. I'm going to turn into Uncle Iro now, giving all the life advice as well. The most controversial tip I have actually is don't force yourself to practice. And I actually don't always recommend a rigid practicing schedule. So I'm a very spontaneous person. I don't tend to follow any schedules or timetables unless it's to do with work or it's to do with university. And I don't like the idea of spending my days following a complete list. That actually does not sound like something I'd ever like to do properly. But I know for some people, having an exact list of what they need to do is okay. But when people seem to have everything down by the minute, I feel like that kind of removes any point of, I don't want to say point of living, that's a bit dark, but it kind of makes you feel like you're just a robot following a bunch of instructions and it's almost like you have no say in it. It's just a weird thing. So I like to do things when I feel like doing them. So if I feel like practicing the clarinet, I will. If I don't want to, then I'm not going to, because I know if I force myself to practice, I can't really force myself to do anything I don't want to do unless it's something extremely urgent, like I don't want to miss classes, of course, or a doctor's appointment. But if I don't want to practice and if I make myself, I'm just going to resent it even more, and then I'm not going to practice the next time. I'm just going to start hating it, because even though this is something I love, if you're made to do it when you don't want to, it's just as bad as any other task. Excuse me, it becomes a chore. And so I don't think people forcing themselves to practice all the time is a good idea. Yes, there are some times where you need to sort of kick yourself a bit and you need to go, okay, you got to do this. But the point is you still want to. If someone's completely loathing it and just dreading it all the time, I'd say, yeah, not right, don't do it. Not right for you to keep forcing yourself that way. Which leads into my next point of take breaks from playing. And I'm not talking about the short breaks of like an hour in between pieces or something. I'm talking like longer breaks, like weeks, months, however long. But taking longer breaks is just like a holiday from anything. You take time off from work, you get the weekends off from school, so it makes sense to take breaks from even the things you love. And fortunately, this is an inanimate object, so we can do that. It's not an animal that we have to look after, and we always have to have responsibility. So yeah, taking breaks from playing has actually helped me a few times when I've had mental blocks. I think every artist goes through some sort of mental block, and they're just like, I just don't feel like it anymore. I've lost my passion, or I've lost my drive, whatever name you want to call it. It's kind of the same point. Yeah, sometimes you can feel pointless, and you just don't want to keep playing anymore. And that relates to my last point, like I said, because it's like forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do. So the solution can be taking an even longer break from something, letting it mellow and chill in your brain. And then you might want to come back to it sooner than you realise. You may say, okay, I'm going to take a month off. And then you realise after a week, actually, I'm really missing it. I want to go back. So I think it's also can be a good idea. Next point, use influences but not comparisons. So we all do this, we're all guilty. We look at people on Instagram and YouTube as well, and we usually go, wow, isn't their life fantastic? Everything is just amazing. But using influences versus comparisons is, I think it's kind of important. It's what I was mentioning earlier about everyone's gonna, there's always gonna be someone that has a better clarinet than you, and you've got to accept it. So using influences, you've got to use it in the right way. So when I say use an influence, you can look at someone and listen to a player, and you can go, wow, they sound amazing. You've got two choices then. You can go, damn it, I don't sound as good as that. Or you can go, this means that potentially this is like what you could achieve someday. It's like not the barrier, because it can always be broken, but it's like a checkpoint you want to get to. It's the potential that you can reach. You know that how you're playing right now is not the limits, and there are more advanced things going on than you know yet. It's like something to look forward to and something to work towards. And if you can use influences like that, that's brilliant. But most people, including myself, I can't. I look at people and just get frustrated. So try not to look too much at other people and compare yourself to them. Take their individual part and appreciate it, but don't always apply it to your life, because that's not always going to be applicable or healthy. So another tip I have is setting up a practice environment. So find a place that you have few distractions. I know it's impossible to have no distractions, so that you can just sit down, you can get on with your practicing, and that is what you can focus on. And a great way of doing this is having a set place that you only do practicing in. So this is the same principle as only going to your bed when you want to sleep, because if you do other things in your bed, like reading and going on your phone, your brain stops equating bed equals sleep, and then your brain doesn't switch off. So if you set up a place, so for example, I say this is my practicing chair. Anytime I sit in this chair, I'm going to practice. Something as simple as that can help you get into the mode of practicing. And I know I'm breaking the rule. Oh my goodness, I'm filming a video instead. Shock horror, report me to the music police. They're going to come for me. Don't worry, it's okay. I've got Ling Ling insurance. But the next tip I've mentioned briefly as well, asking for help. So many people are terrified to ask for help. Even I was when I was younger. People don't like admitting that they don't know something, but honestly, asking for help is one of the best things you can do. Most people are actually nicer than you think, and even if they're not nice, then you know not to talk to them and waste your time anyway. So there's nothing wrong with admitting you don't know something, because by asking, it's like you're admitting it's like a humility as well as an intelligence, because people who realise they don't know things in a way can be more intelligent than people that necessarily know things, because it's intelligent of people to ask questions so then they do know. And intelligence isn't just pure knowledge, it's knowing how to use that knowledge. And there's so many different forms of intelligence. So yeah, I feel like if someone asks you a question, even if it seems really stupid to you, don't laugh at them and try and answer their question as correctly and open as possible. And if someone else comes along and disagrees with you, then yeah, you're screwed. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. I'm just telling this out because it's starting to get on my nerves. Yeah, that seems to be wrong. Oh no. So yes, asking for help is one of the best things you can do. Hopefully your teacher knows the answer. The internet can be a good place as well. That's why you're watching this, right? You know, hopefully you found some good answers here. But another part of intelligence is knowing what advice to take. Not every bit of advice you get is going to be helpful or very good. So yeah, use some caution when people give you advice. Okay, next one. Know how to find and transcribe sheet music. So the biggest pain when I was learning to play, and still now, finding sheet music for clarinet. So I'm an emo. If the wristbands, the choker, the MCR dog tag didn't give it away enough already. So emo stuff doesn't really tend to get written for clarinet. If I'm mistaken, I know of one person on YouTube who has the Welcome to the Black Parade clarinet sheet music. That is the extent of the free stuff that you can get. I'm sure there's a lot more if you pay for it, but unfortunately, I haven't got a lot of money. So I have to either listen by ear, which is a very good technique. Is that the right word? Technique, skill. Yeah, I'm going to say skill because it's something usually you learn. Unless you have perfect pitch, you know, perfect pitch gang, then you can just listen to any piece by ear and play it. But for people that don't have perfect pitch, yeah, you're going to likely need to write it out. And because we don't have any sheet music for clarinet, what do we have? Well, you can look for trumpet, because they're also in B flat, and tenor saxophone, again in B flat. But tenor sax isn't as common, I don't think, as clarinet or trumpet. Trumpet you may have more success with, but the problem with trumpet is it's often an octave that's really uncomfortable for clarinet players. It's way too high. So you can transpose that down if you want by writing it in, or just learning the fingerings differently, which I think is very difficult to do. I don't like doing that at all. I would just completely rewrite the entire thing out properly. So yeah, that can be a problem with trumpet music. And so the skill that people need to learn is transposing. So if you look here, this is a list of the concert notes. So, and this is what it equates to on the clarinet. So what you can do is you can go through any kind of sheet music you like. You can go through and take the melody, because obviously doing chords is not going to be very fun for you, playing one note at a time, you know, it's not going to sound right. So you can go through the melody, you can go note by note, and you can rewrite it into the correct key. So if I show you an example, let me pop my clarinet down before I drop it, because then this is going to become a very sad video. Or if I break my reed, or my ligature. I did actually break my ligature because it fell over on my carpet. Because I put it down when I was in the middle of practicing, went to the toilet, came back, knocked it over. Silly me. So yeah, let me take this bit of sheet music out. So this is me handwriting out lyrics and the notes above on the sheet music. So this is a very useful skill to be able to, it's a very useful thing to be able to do. So it means you can take any piece of existing sheet music and then you can rewrite it to what you want, whatever instrument it is. So as long as you know the difference between the instrument you're transposing from and then your instrument, pretty much any piece is good. The only problem with this method I'm doing here and not writing it and transposing it onto actual sheet music, it won't work for mega complicated pieces, multiple octave things going on. It's going to be very complicated to read just as pure notes, because obviously when you write, say, this G, what G is that? From context, I know that all these Gs are the same. They do not change for that part. So that is helpful as well, but for complicated pieces, especially classical, you cannot just write it out like that. You're going to have to get some sheet music or make some yourself. I don't know how easy that is. I've personally never drawn my own sheet music. So you could do that if you're in a real pickle. But for simple songs, like the sort of stuff that I like, the emo stuff, this works fine. It just takes a bit of context and knowing the song itself. If I give this to someone who doesn't know the song, of course they're going to look at this and go, well, okay, so I know it starts on an E, but which E is it? And then is that B lower to that E, or is it higher? So yeah, it does relate to a lot of context. But if I had known how to do this many years ago, I definitely would have had a bit more of a fun time. So many pieces that I wanted to play, and I went, oh, but there's no sheet music. Okay, I'll try and play it by ear. Got really confused, and playing by ear can be a little bit difficult sometimes, and takes quite a long time. So I ended up having to do that. But yeah, so this result has worked out quite well for me actually. I've got quite a few pieces that I've written out in my folder, because I like to keep organised. So I'll quickly show you what my folder looks like inside actually. We'll try not to knock glasses over. So I just got loads of songs just written out, and at the back I have one song that I tried to transpose to sheet music because, again, like I said, it had a complicated guitar solo in it. That one, I know, that piece of paper got damaged, so it comes out. So yeah, we have MCR Dead. So this looks messy as hell, but this is the result of just writing the intro out. It's awful, but now I can actually play it because of this. And I've written it so bad I've had to write the notes underneath it because I'm so unclear which line I've put it on. Yep, it's terrible. So I'm probably going to go back over that with because it's in pencil. So I'm going to go back in it with like a fine liner and do it very precisely, so then I can read it properly and it'll be fine. But I think that is all my tips for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you've learned something. Please leave any questions, comments, concerns, all of that in the description box, below the description box, so I can answer your questions and address anything that maybe I've missed or I've misspoken. I'm sure I have. Not everything I say, it's not law. But yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.